that Jude Sinclair lost his life Sunday morning, right on Uniondale Avenue and Nassau Road. The 3 young brothers on the terrace were shot to death. So peace in the streets is an active role. The solution is unity, discipline, character, and love. And hopefully we'll talk more about that, but that's the solution. And the solution is that we who say we care about our youth, if we do, must engage them in the street. And for law enforcement in New York State, there's a 3-pronged effect. First one is called intervention. That's where socially responsible organizations get on the ground, in the streets, on the corners, such as CODA, such as SNUG, such as the FOI, such as Peace in the Streets. It should be clergy too. We got to get out of the ivory tower and come into the streets like Jesus did. Jesus' word was not in the temple or the synagogue or the mosque. His work was in the highways and byways of Jerusalem and Palestine. He didn't spend time building buildings, he built people's lives. So we got to get out into the community with the young people and stop judging them. This is not the wisest generation, but they're the boldest and the strongest. They're the most fearless, and they're sick and tired of being sick and tired of the malarkey. That's the word I'm going to use. You understand what I'm saying? They are, and you can't push them to the side. That's why they buck back. That's why they're not in the house. That's why their peer group is themselves, and they're on these streets with illegal guns that the state allows to come in, as well as the country allows to come in. I'm not going to let you just put it on my brothers. They ain't getting these guns by themselves, nor how they get the bullets for the guns. So what I'm saying as I close this point, my dear family and community here, yes, the worst problem is us killing us. So number one, we got to make our communities a decent and safe place to live. Number two, we want to train 10,000 fields in conflict resolution to help stop the peace in our communities. Number three, we got to stop the killing of us by us. And number four, it is my desire, and I shall do it. I call it, though it be not as if it is, we will have a conflict resolution center in the village of Hempstead and all over to be able to solve our people's problems. Thank you so much.
Speakers here, I have to applaud them. Very good, some nice words that were said. I want to just take a moment to just mention something with the police department we're doing recently. We're trying to give back to the community and also work with the community. If anyone has kids in the schools, both the middle school and the high school, they've probably seen our faces, myself, Darryl, and the rest of the team. We are actively trying to reach out to kids to show them that we are not this machine that just wants to put handcuffs on you. You know, handcuffing is not a solution to the problems here in the community, but we're trying to show that we could be helpful, mentorship, just sharing experiences in life. We've had programs after work at the Armory building where we've taken a group of kids, some have been in trouble in the past, some not, and we've spent time to talk with them, just to tell them about, give them a little guidance in life. You know, we're not the professionals at that, but we do our best to give them some advice. It's worthwhile. I think it's very important. We do a relatively small scale, maybe 20, 30 kids at a time, but we're seeing positive results. Right now, we're definitely in the middle school constantly right now. As the Reverend just mentioned, yes, unfortunately, yes, we do make arrests at the schools, even at the middle school, you know, but trust me, we're not looking to place children under arrest unless we're almost forced to do so. You know, there's a few issues, I won't go into detail, but weapons or what have you, we have to do what we have to do. We have to protect the other students. But one thing we're finding that we reached out to every child in the middle school, and we're doing it with the high school, from whether it's sexting issues that are going on right now, whether it's gang violence, trying to show them that, you know, sometimes there's a better solution or an alternate solution, or sometimes just taking a moment to step back from anger, the problem won't be created. So the police department is actively trying to do that. We're doing our best, but a lot of it comes from, like you said, from parents wanting to help us with that. We're willing to do what we can. you know, and I think with the population at the school, it's an increasing population. We want to do our best. So Daryl is a PAL director, so he'd like to say a few words.
Before you speak, Mr. Atkin, I'd like to acknowledge also Judge Helen Facinas is in the audience with us this evening, and she's running for family court judge. Thank you so much for coming out. Oh, I'm sorry, Helen. It's for her re-election of a district court seat. Thank you so much for coming out. Now, Mr. Atkins, before you start, I'd like for you to give a little introduction about yourself. And we have a question for you, too, because we do know that you are with the PAL. And it's been said that when our youth are involved and are taken at an early age in community activities, that they don't grow up to be as rambunctious as what we've heard about this evening. Can you tell us if this is indeed the fact, and what activities is PAL doing in our communities to help protect the children?
Well, my name is Darryl Aiken. I grew up in Harlem. I'm a Harlem kid. Grew up in the projects in Harlem, Lincoln Projects. I came to Hempstead in 1992. I moved out to Hempstead. But prior to that, I'm a PAL kid. I was 14 when I got involved in the PAL in Harlem, and I had to because I was getting in trouble as a kid. And one of my experiences was when I went to, they took a busload of us to Royal Prison. It was about 20, 14-year-old kids on a bus to Royal Prison in the Steer Straight program. And after I left that program, I said, I ain't never going to jail. Because that's probably one of the worst experiences as a 14-year-old you can see. So I had mentors that came into my life, got me into football, basketball, started playing sports, while I'm getting a scholarship to St. John's University on a basketball scholarship, where I got my degree. So when I came on the job in '92, I started in the city, and one thing I said that I wanted to do, because I started working for the PL in the city before I came out here. So one of the things I wanted to do was get involved with the youth in Hempstead once I became a detective out here in Hempstead, because I was doing all the undercover work before I got into this position of the director. I just got the position in May, so what we're trying to do right now is get involved in the school and do a programs where we can have cops come into the school. If it's an hour a day, be with the classroom so the kids can get comfortable with knowing the cops that's in the community here. So and like you said, we start in the middle school because we find the middle school that's where most of the kids is really acting out in the middle school. So for us, if we can get into the middle school and talk to the kids and show them a different direction, that's what we want to do. As far as the programs that we're starting up, we have karate going on right now. We're going to be doing basketball, baseball next summer, football next year. We're going to be taking kids on trips. We're doing bowling. One of my board members is here, Ruth. So we're trying to get after-school programs started where we can have some places for the kids to go after school, where we can tutor them. We have a building on MLK. On September 17th, we're going to be holding an open house because I think a lot of parents here in Hempstead didn't even know we had a PAL. So we're going to do an open house on September 17th at our building at 265 MLK. So if you know anybody who's looking to put their kids in programs, please bring them out. We're looking for volunteers. If anybody got ideas here, I'm always open to ideas of what this community needs. So we're just looking to really get these kids involved in the PAL, and we want to start a youth board because we know kids don't want to talk to adults half of the time, so they'll speak to their youth before they will speak to us, and that way we can do the necessary stuff that we need to keep them out of trouble, keep them away from the police. you know, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I have another announcement from President Mayers. The NAACP Freeport Roosevelt is sponsoring a bus excursion to the National Museum of African American History on Saturday, October 29th. All who are interested, please see President Mayers. He'll have further information. Now, last but not least, we have our own Sila Bainu, our legislator here in Hempstead, and we want to pose this question to you. As you've heard tonight, you've heard a lot of different comments about policing in our community, and we read recently that there is an initiative going on for the Nassau Police here in our own county. Can you first give a little background as to who you are in our community and what this new policy, if anything, is all about?
Good evening.
Good evening.
As stated, my name is Sila Bino. I'm a Nassau County legislator. I'm one of 19. I proudly represent Legislative District 2, which encompasses the larger part of Hempstead. I was elected back in February 2014, and shortly after my election and I took my seat, I began working with my fellow legislators to look at how Nassau County Police use of force policy, their training policies and the like, how they were implemented and how they were impacting community. And so there was a consultant that was hired, and the consultant came in and we worked alongside the consultant to engage community so that they could hear from community directly what the concerns were. We also shared our insight, because as we come out to community meetings, we hear from community, what the concerns are. So we were able to highlight certain issues that were of concern, and much of them related to training and use of force. And just in July of 2016, just a couple of months ago, last month, it feels like a long time ago, we introduced from the administration a host of different changes. And those changes, really and truthfully, some of them just are common sense issues, right? And then some of them are a lot more technical. One of the things is that when you talk about sanctity of life, and so when we talk about lives matter, Black lives matter, all lives matter, the bottom line is really what the crux of that and the foundation of that is that there should be a sanctity of life. And there's a lot of different ways that officers are now being trained to preserve life. And so one of the things is that the sergeant spoke to earlier about slowing down a situation. They talk about slowing down a situation, de-escalating a situation. If it requires that you retreat or you call off a chase, a motor vehicle chase, that there doesn't have to be a particular urgency of the moment, in the moment, to deal with something if you believe that it can negatively impact innocent bystander's life or the actual alleged perpetrator. So the training module has included retreating. The training module now includes allowing for a vehicle to, get away and pursue them later by way of technology, if you have the address. If you have the license plate number, you can get the address. But one of the things that relative to sanctity of life that I believe is common sense, and I spoke a little bit about this in a couple of different forums, is that when you looked at the killings that were caught on video, where police officers actually had to use their weapon and they killed, or they killed a civilian. When you looked at the aftermath, one was a gun and one was the choking situation with Eric Garner. When you looked at those situations, in hindsight, whether you want to believe the use of force was legitimately, it was legitimate, it wasn't excessive. One of the things you looked at was that at the end of the day, once the person was no longer a threat, there was no medical attention that was rendered. So one of the policies that have now been implemented at Nassau County is that once there is no longer a threat, a danger that's posed by that individual, immediate medical attention needs to be provided. One of the other things that they have done is also to remove a slapper, because they felt that the slapper was being used inappropriately as an intermediate weapon. But they did introduce the taser. So the taser now is an intermediate weapon. It's a weapon that can be used as opposed to escalating all the way to a gun. Right away to a gun, they can use a taser. But one of the other things that they looked at for the taser was that there's actual testing that has to happen to with the taser before you go out in the field. Before you start your tour, you have to test the taser, because we also have seen on videos where people are getting tased and they're being tased for too long, and the voltage is too high. So there's a requirement now to look at how the equipment is functioning before you go out in the field. So those are some of the changes that were brought about. And a lot of those changes, I commend community for, because it was your voice that was heard. It was whether we were at forums like this or whether you met one of your elected officials, your legislators on the street, and you engaged in these type of dialogue. We heard you, we brought that information back. We had pastors, we had school board members, we had NAACP representatives that were on this, in the focus groups that sat and spoke to these professionals and told them what the concerns were. And this is what bubbled up out of it. And so there are a few more that can be discussed at another time, but I want you to know that the work doesn't stop there. This is just the very beginning of it. And I look forward to these types of forums, because I hear information and I'm able to go back and present it in a way that, that can be useful. Thank you.
If the county is going to pay for that attorney service, he should be represented as if he represents Donald Trump or anybody else. But you're going to find the attorney coming to court and he don't know who the client is that the county is paying him to represent. This has to stop. Judges and all who is running are going to tell you something. You make sure when the attorney brings someone before you that he's representing for the county, make sure you know that that attorney had meet with that client before you decide to pass sentence on that person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mears. Before we continue, and speaking of judges, before we continue, I would like to announce 3 other judges who just walked in. One is Judge Ellen Greenberg, who's running for Family Court Justice. The next is Conrad Singer, Family Court Judge, and Stacy Bennett for Family Court Judge. Now, I want to say something. It's very rare that you see candidates, particularly judges, who come to forums like this and they're not allowed to speak. When I heard that they were coming, I said, well, you can't speak. They said, they're not allowed, you understand, they're not allowed to speak to issues like this, right? Because these are the issues that go before them in court. But they're here, sitting in the audience, because what they said to me was, we know we cannot speak and address any of these issues, but we want to hear the issues. This is an opportunity for them to hear these issues. I'm going to ask every last judge to come up here, whoever's running. Just stand please. Just come up for a minute, every last one of you. In the back, Conrad, Aisha, come on up. Just stand before the audience. Because to me, that's amazing. These are progressive judges.
Martinez District Court, and Mr. Mayor, I welcome you to come sit in my court, please.
I will.
I'm Judge Aisha Brantley. I was graciously elected by you all as the Hempstead Village Justice, and I hope you elect me as a family court judge.
Yes.
I'm Ellen Greenberg. I sit now in the family court. I'm up for re-election. Nice to see everybody.
Representing for Congresswoman Kathleen Rice's office. So I work in our district office, and on the legislative side, which is in DC, they would know a little bit more about it, but you know, the Congresswoman has come out for criminal justice reform. It's something that's a big platform of hers. It's something that is absolutely needed. We know that there's a huge disparity between the amount of young black and brown men that are incarcerated in comparison to their white counterparts. So that's a huge thing. You know, again, the legislative side of our team can speak better to this. And we have an open door policy, so if anyone has questions, we're at 300 Garden City Plaza, right across the street from the mall, and you're welcome anytime to stop in and ask any questions that you have. Thank you.
Please Google, thank you so much. Please Google that act. Please Google it. We Google sales on shoes and DSW. We Google everything else, vacations and car sales and tire sales. I with the sentencing project down in DC, we went to Georgetown. And we went to Georgetown, and in the classroom, we asked everyone in the class, how many of y'all have tried marijuana? Everyone raised their hand. Maybe except 2 students. They're running for public office, you see. And we asked them, how many of you have been arrested for the use of marijuana or anything else? 5 people raised their hand. We went to Howard. We asked the same question. Everyone raised their hand. How many of you have been arrested? Half the class raised their hand. How many of you know someone that have been arrested? Everyone raised their hand. Same crime. And so these are issues that we have to deal with. You talked about the economic issues. I remember, I'm old enough to remember a CEDAR program under the Carter administration. Hello. And under the CEDAR, which took money instead of into the prison industry, it took it into the human capital industry, where it gave those who may not have been college bound, it gave them trades. Everyone had a career, everyone had a skill, and everyone had a job, which means you had self-esteem. It wasn't a railroad to the jail system. We need to look at that and really register to vote. We're going to be having workshops on getting your freedom back and getting back your right to vote. We're going to be doing that. We also want to talk about a rites of passage program and the mentoring program. Our issues have nothing to do with religion, have nothing to do with denomination, have nothing to do with anything else but our pigmentation, and we're going to fix that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wright.
Can I just say, before we change the subject, I just want to say this to you, so you could say this to Ms. Kathleen Rice. I want to say this because she started way back in 2008 talking about second chance and helping people in lieu to locking them up. And I want to say, most people come to us election time and they lie to us. They tell us anything. But I'll tell you what, this woman have kept her word to us, and she's the facilitator of a lot of the second chance and reentry program that took place in the village of Hempstead, and she needs to be recognized for that, because most of these politicians just simply lied to us. She kept her word.
What happened today on Terrace Avenue with the 3 young men being shot? We, the residents of Terrace Avenue, want to create a neighborhood watch. Who will help us with this project? A neighborhood watch?
Is this to the panel?
Yes, it's to the panel.
Oh,
to
thank
the
God
panel.
for that. I'm glad
how do they go about creating a neighborhood watch? The residents on Terrace Avenue want to do that?
I'm glad you asked that question. We already have an answer for that. One of the things that we have been doing under the radar is doing what we call Peace in the Streets. One of the things they had was a Peace Week, where they took a bunch of young people with Marcellus Morris, who's not here because he's on the street as we speak, brought those young men and the fathers and the young men together to talk about the issues that they have. That's to help them to understand the anger, because there's anger between fathers and sons. Why haven't you been there, Dad? Well, those kinds of issues. The other thing that we've been working on, I've been working with Minister Muhammad on that, what we call Peace in the Street. Actually, they've been going out to the streets talking directly to our young men and young women, telling them the alternative to the crimes that they are involved with, the anger that they have. We have a program called Conflict Resolution. Matter of fact, in my latest journal, we did a 6-page storyline on there talking about the impact of that. So we already been involved, and one of the things I do in jail, going to the jail and talking to the young people, telling them, you're coming back out, there's no question about that. You need to prepare yourself to be a part of the solution and not the problem. One of the other things that we are trying to do and build on, working with the mayor and working with other community leaders, we're trying to create a program that'll keep our young people busy, to engage them, to take them off the street corner. I tell you what, if you take a young person, we did it last year, we took 22 people off the streets and gave them summer job. I guarantee you, if they are somewhere working, doing something productive, they won't be on the street corner doing something destructive. And so what we are looking for and what we are trying to do is engage our young people where they at. I guarantee you, I could walk on the corner of any streets in the village of Hempstead and somebody know me simply because I've been talking to them and not at them. You can't tell somebody to pull up their pants and demand it and not have a solution to what they face. The reason why their pants is down in the first place for some of them is they telling you where you can go with the nonsense. You understand what I'm saying? So getting up into young people's face is not a winner. Talking to young people, engaging them, telling them the alternative to what they're living. And thank God for some of the ex-offenders that are talking to the young people who have did 20, 30 years. They tell them, it ain't working, young boy. It ain't working, young woman. It ain't working, young man. They can relate to that. Nobody wants to go to jail for the rest of their life over some silly stuff. But working with Minister Muhammad with the Peace in the Street initiative, we want to do a conflict resolution program right where it's at, in the middle of the street. We don't want this, we don't want, in our community, you should be sick and tired of people coming in with their professional analysis who gets all the money and nothing changed. And I apologize for saying this, but I have to say it. We got somebody coming here from England going to try to teach us conflict resolution. The blood of Jesus. The blood of Jesus. Are you going to teach me about conflict resolution and you all the way from England somewhere? And somebody want me to support that? That's the blood of Jesus. We can solve our own problem if given the opportunity. My son get upset. I don't need a science book to tell him to calm his butt down. We need to engage and talk with our people. So this Peace in the Streets initiative with a powerful group of young men and women that are working on to talk to our kids where they're at. We are asking our people to do this. Help us to get a conflict resolution center in the center of the issue. It's a simple ask. We're not asking for $1 million. We're simply saying, since you're taking our homes anyway, since you're taking people home and put them in foreclosure, why not dedicate one of those homes, make it a center, so that young people, when they're angry, when they're frustrated, when they're sick and tired, can have a place to go to talk. You would be amazed at how many problems you can solve by getting two people in the room to talk about the issue. So we need you to join with us and tell the mayor, tell our legislator, tell the governor, we need to have a conflict resolution center in the middle of Hempstead. And no more of this nonsense with these crazy people, with all this crazy program, taking all your crazy money and leaving you broke, busted, and disgusted, and then you want a conflict resolution. Because Lord have mercy, the blood of Jesus.
Thank you. However, the specific question was, how do we start a neighborhood watch on Terrace Avenue?
I'm sorry, my name is Sharon Shivers, and I'm a resident of Terrace Avenue. And this is not really about anybody coming in to help us solve conflicts, but when we do have conflicts and we go to our officials to get them settled, we don't get nothing. I was assaulted back in December, and I went to my police station to file a report. They wouldn't take a report. I lost my teeth because I was assaulted. You know, then when the police wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, I thought it was all right for me to go speak to Wayne Hall about the police not doing what they were supposed to do. But what did they do? Nothing, because he wasn't available. You don't make yourself available to the community. But then when you want help solving these crimes, and this all sounds good. I've been living in Hempstead 10 years. This all sounds good. And we go through this each and every time Hempstead gets a little bit of money, then they want to have these forums and have all these conversations, and nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. My son was being beat up on Hempstead. If I went to the police didn't help me. I went to the PAL people. What they tell me, I went to the district attorney's office. I hear kids will be kids. That's not acceptable when I have kids jumping on my 11-year-old son. I had to go to community leaders like Reginald Benjamin to get police attention. That doesn't make sense to me. Why can't I go to my community leaders to get any help? But now y'all want to talk about helping us. Y'all do this all the time. Soon as money comes, we have these forums. But once the forum's over, that's it. You don't come help my kid. My kid's been on that neighborhood 11 years. Y'all ain't bought no program in there for him. There's no programs on Terrace Avenue for my children.
Ma'am, thank you. What is your name?
My name is Stern Shivers.
Stern Shivers?
Yes, I'm the vice president of the Long Island Tenants Union. I'm a member of New York Communities for Change. That's who I am. Okay, I'm also a graduate of New York Theological Seminary. So all this sounds good, but after tonight, you won't be back in my community. I haven't seen you since we had that meeting on 100 Terrace Avenue. How long have I been trying to get to you, and you're a community leader?
All right, Ms. Shivers, I want to thank you for your comments, for your candid comments. Before I turn it over to the panel to address some of those issues, I do want to correct certain things that you said. First of all, this is the first time. This is the New Hempstead Democratic Club, and we are a progressive Democratic club Democratic organization, taking up issues such as this. We've never done this before. Last month was our first time. So when you make the comment that every time there's an issue, we do this, no, we're starting to, I understand, okay, but I just want to correct things. I just want to correct things or make sure that we're all on the same page for everyone else's sake.
I want to answer your question.
Excuse me. In addition to that, there's no funding for this panel here. This is a panel. They're all here on their spare time. No one's getting paid. We're not getting paid. There's no funding for this. But you ain't getting paid, okay? But we understand that there's a serious issue here. And like I said in the beginning, I don't know if you're here, when I first started, we don't want to be about politics as usual. We're tired too. I live here. I've lived here for over 30 years. I pay taxes here also. We're tired of business as usual. So we are working with the mayor. We have a think tank. Some of the panel members are part of that think tank with the mayor to help improve our village. I understand your frustration. And that's why we are going to make sure that this continues. But you know what? Everyone in here has to want to participate, because the first time we had this meeting last month, there were almost 300 people in the room. Look, it's dwindling. It's dwindling. Everyone wants to have to continue to participate. So I just wanted to address that, and I am going to speak to the mayor about your issues. One last thing I'm going to say before I turn it over to you, Reginald Benjamin, for a brief minute, and then allow Legislator Bino and the officers to address this young lady here, is Mayor Hall. I'm sorry he's not here. He had to leave. Mayor Hall is making some changes to the policy with the Hempstead Police Department. I cannot elaborate on it. I'd rather he do that. So next month, hopefully, you'll be back to hear some of those changes that he's making, because he recognizes a problem. On that note, Reverend Benjamin, please be very brief, because I want Sela and the officers to speak.
I just want to answer her question. I want you to know this. You haven't seen me because I'm one of the people that has been talking to Peter Flory in particular about your case, what happened to your son, and we have made arrangements, and I know you have talked to Mimi Johnson. We have made arrangements, should any time you're ready, you can move out of that building to another building where you're safe. And I'm the one who made those calls, talking directly to Peter Flory for you. All you have to do is to make the call. And as soon as your son was hit, all of us got together to talk about what we was going to do about it. We didn't talk to you about it. We didn't come to make you feel good, to pat you on the back, but we said we need to get your son out the building. Oh, by the way, you agreed to move your son. Is that not right? So don't ask me next time, what am I doing? I am doing something.
Okay. Legislator Bino.
I wanted to speak to the question about having a neighborhood watch. So I know that there's resources available at the county level that would be able to help structure a neighborhood watch. And we'll research that and make it available to whoever the person was who posed the question. But I also want to put out there as an additional resource, if you're going to be putting together a neighborhood watch, or you're a part of any organization that services community, I want you to be aware that we are having 5 mental health first aid training courses over throughout the month of September. They will all be held in the month of September. So the mental health first aid training is a 8-hour course, and at the completion you will be certified to be able to identify when there is a mental health crisis, be able to triage them, provide service in the immediate, and then do a proper referral. So this is a national program that was not available here in Nassau County until recently. I worked along with another legislator, Becker, to be able to identify funding and bring that program here to Nassau County. And as a result, a not-for-profit organization saw that what we were doing, and they actually wrote a grant on our behalf, on the behalf of this community, to be able to bring additional training. So we will have 5. There are 5 separate 8-hour courses, and each class has a maximum attendance of 25. And so there is plenty of opportunity for community organizations and startups, like Neighborhood Watch members, to be able to be trained. So in the immediate, before you even have the Neighborhood Watch set up, you can come and take one of those courses, because you don't have to be certified with a particular organization to participate. So please visit my website at Nassau County Legislature to identify the trainings, and then you could be able to register right there. Thank you.
Detective Warren? For those who are eligible. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose the question that was asked originally. Can Detective Warren speak first, and then we'll come to you? Please, go ahead, Detective.
Okay. All right, yeah, I would like to just answer part of your question. I'm not familiar with your case at all, but if there was a case, you mentioned that you were assaulted, I'm not understanding why it was not handled properly, but that's something I could look into. So I can give you my card, my number, you can talk to me tomorrow, but again, I'm not sure where that case is. I'm not familiar with it at all. But just to assure everyone here in the village, if there's any offense that anyone is a victim of, that's something the police department is going to address. You know what? I can't tell you if you're not satisfied with a result. What we follow checks and balances there. You know, when you come into the station, as you know, there's a watch commander there that oversees. If there's an offense legally, we will take the statements, do what we have to do, and go forth with it. I'm not sure about your case, so I don't want to even guess at what happened with that. We can talk about that later. But as you said, you were helping or ready with that.
We followed up on it.
Okay,
but you already should know about that.
Okay.
I know about that too.
Okay, and so you'll finish that conversation at the end. I'm sorry, the lady with the yellow shirt, dress, I'm sorry.
So in order to be certified, you just need to attend one class for 8 hours.
Okay, I'm going to ask, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Annie. I'm trying to find out who to send this directly to. It is a police matter. It's a police issue. But like I said, there is a Nation of Islam, and everybody seems to be in the same area. But what do we do about police officers that break the law? What is the protocol about a statement being made on a person because they're not liked, and it goes all the way to the extent that what is the protocol? What do we do about this? Has been done to my son and me, and like I said, he's been harassed. I did take care of prior issues, After I took care of the prior issues, Lieutenant Holland, Police Officer Drew, Chief McGowan got very upset. As an activist, they call me, or a troublemaker. They went after him again. This time they threw the book at him, called, to the T. Now this guy doesn't even smoke. So now the point is, what do you do about, what is your protocol when you make a statement, a sworn statement to put somebody behind lock and key? Isn't it supposed to be signed or notarized by the officers? Or is it just, you make a statement and that's it?
Could you repeat that last part about being notarized, that last part of the
Or
statement?
either signed. All right, say that you make a statement that causes somebody to get arrested, locked up, and took in front of a judge.
Okay.
You don't sign the statement?
If someone's making a statement against someone...
A police officer making a statement to get a person arrested.
Why would a police officer make that statement? A victim would make that statement.
No, this is where your police was the claim they were the victim.
Okay.
All right,
Some type of an assault on an officer, something like that?
No, they just made a statement against my son saying that, that he was erratic, a lot of things. That they said, they made a statement to arrest him.
Okay.
They had got him in with a legal left turn. Then when they stopped him, they said that he had it's a whole lot of things. But the statement was made by your police officers, but it was never signed. But he was arrested, he was sent to court, he was arraigned, he was put on probation, and this is without signature. The first thing I want to know is, are your police officers allowed to make a statement to take away somebody's freedom without being signed? Or is it just word of mouth?
It's not word of mouth. There's a procedure with...
That's what I'm asking you. What is the procedure?
Okay. If you're saying the officers have made a statement against what your son said.
I have a statement right here. Yeah, the statement.
Okay, you're giving us a loaded question here. If I
sorry.
could see that, I could see what you're talking about.
Right.
Because it sounds a little vague where you're going with that. But there's remedies for situations if you're not satisfied with, you mentioned Chief McGowan, you mentioned several officers here. There's a remedies for that. There's the district attorney's office.
We tried to bring it to Chief
Can I
McGowan.
ask, I'm sorry, ma'am, what is your name?
Evelyn Davis.
Miss Davis, can I ask for that to be a sidebar conversation? I just want to get 3 more questions because it is 9 o'clock and we're going to have to leave.
All right, the point is I still want my question answered. I was sitting here the whole time.
Absolutely, but I don't think that he's able to answer it right now. So if you can get more details. Just quickly, someone asked the question as to why isn't the panel more diverse? If you were here last month, we did have a very diverse panel. We had Latino clergy, we had an imam, a Muslim imam from the Pakistani community, etc. Unfortunately, they were not able to make it here tonight. Hopefully next month when we do part 3, we will have a more diverse panel. I'll just take 2 more questions quickly and then we have to leave. We're going to keep it up. We're going to continue, it may not be every month, but we're going to continue doing this and we hope you'll be back. Just quickly, if you did not sign up or sign in, please sign in on your way out so that we can update you on when the next panel is. We would like to invite you out because some of these things that were addressed tonight, we will try to have resolution and bring that data back to you next month. Let me just allow each panel to close out because, listen, this is a loaded forum and we can't resolve everything tonight, but we will definitely continue. So if everyone can just bear with me for 5 minutes and allow each panelist to close out for 1 minute each. We'll start with Legislator
So in
Bynum.
closing, I wanted to state that working through the policies and the procedures that govern how police officers are trained or interact with community is an important part of moving forward with, the concerns between police and community. And I think one of the other aspects is having opportunity for community to engage with police professionals and be able to have casual interactions that will be meaningful. Therefore, when there is an interaction or some kind of breakdown in communication, there's an opportunity for people to expect the best of each other out of those circumstances. So I think, it takes a look at the policy, a change in certain policies. We need to have community engagement, but we also need to have diversity on the police force. So that is something that I've also been working on, and we've had opportunity for our school students to go to the civilian police academy and have, a real experience of what it would be like to be an officer. So, and also to have engagement with the explorers. So I think it's a multi-pronged approach to kind of dealing with this issue. And I'm totally committed to working with any organization that might, or any individual who may have some possible solutions or suggestions.
Thank you so much, Legislator. Detective? One answer in closing.
No, I'll address this after.
Okay, if you just want to make a closing remark.
Okay. Just in closing, I would just like to make sure that everyone is aware that the police department is actively trying to be part of the community. We are part of the community, but to be a helpful part, not just a hindrance to everyone. We're trying to make this our department have open doors, make the community feel safe with us. You see the things that are going on in the media around the nation. So we're trying to show that some things that you see in the media aren't reflective of all situations here in the village, and we're doing our best just to be a positive part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Detective Aiken?
As a new director of PL, what I'm trying to do is really get the kids engaged in the activities that we have in the PAL. Because I believe if we have positive programs, after school programs, a lot of these kids wouldn't be in the street running around and doing some of the stuff they're doing. Like, we have our karate guy he walked in, and that's a karate instructor up there to the left. And we trying to build his program up, which he got an excellent program. So we trying to do a lot of things to keep the kids, and hopefully what I'm trying to do is get the cops more involved in the middle school, in the schools, where our kids won't be afraid when they see a cop come up to them. If we get them involved in the programs, they would be able to walk up to a cop and not be afraid or running from the cops, running from the police, where that's where half of the incidents happen. But we pushing forward. I'm gonna push forward with my PL program.
Thank you so much. Reverend Benjamin?
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to clarify something. I don't hold any official position in government. I don't even consider myself a community leader. I consider myself a community advocate. I've never ran for any office, and guess what? I don't have any intention to do so. I simply love my community. What I'm trying to do is the best I can to help it. And people need to understand, if you see me out there and I got so popular that you think I'm a mayor, a governor, or the senator, I'm gonna give it to you now. I am none of those things. I'm not even a pastor. I'm Reverend Benjamin, I'm Evangelist Benjamin. And right now, this coming Saturday, I'll be giving out some backpacks and school supplies so that some kids can have something when they go back to school. There's a difference between a community advocate and a politician and a person elected to office. I haven't been elected to any office, and I'm not running for none. So I just want that to be clear. And the other thing that I want to bring to your attention is I need everybody that can and is able to come to this rally this Saturday, because one of the things that we're going to be doing is talking about peace in the streets. I've invited Minister Muhammad to come so that we can talk about to our kids and to our communities about the violence and things like that are taking place in our community. Again, let me reiterate, you can't not elect me because I haven't ran for nothing. You can't fire me because I don't work for you. But I do love you, and I will be here to advocate for you.
Thank you, Reverend Benjamin. Doug Mears.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrina, for inviting me here to sit in for the president of the Hempstead NAACP, Dr. Gates. But I must say this is that, and the Reverend said a lot of things this evening that really strike here. The community involvement is very important, because I know that for a fact. And may I ask, how many of you in here belongs to the Hempstead NAACP? Could I see anybody hands? 2 people so far. 3. That's a shame. That's a bloody shame. Because if we want to get things done, we got to be involved. Sometimes I get 3-4 calls a day from people that have issues But when I say, are you a member of the NAACP? No. But I don't tell them I won't help them. All right? The community has to be involved, because the other thing we got to start doing, we have to look at the people we go and vote for and what they're doing. We got a lot of politicians that we vote for senator. For instance, I don't think Senator Schumer or Gildebrand know where Roosevelt is. They never set foot in those areas, but they're supposed to be representing us as senators. They never put foot in Roosevelt. Schumer walk around here, he goes to New Hyde Park, he goes to the well-to-do area. Don't vote for him. As simple as that. Don't vote for them if you don't see them. All right? And we got to start doing that. They take us for granted. And one thing I can support Trump for saying, the Democrat Party take the black folks for granted. And we have to stop that, and we have to do what we have. People don't like when I talk, but I have to speak truth to power.
Thank you, Mr. Mears, but we have to move on. The staff is waiting for us. Dr. Craig Wright.
Thank you for this program. Thank you, members of the community. Special thank you to the chief and city manager for the city of not Glen Cove, Long Beach, for braving this, for being proactive enough to being here and hearing some of the issues that may be relevant to your geographic area of employment. Obscene silence. The obscene silence. The silence of good police who say nothing about the bad police. The silence of good citizens who say nothing about bad citizens. There's an obscene silence that's causing us not to communicate. I'm not a politician. I'm a pastor. I'm a college administrator. I haven't run for an office yet. I'll own that. Yet. Because if I'm dissatisfied, I certainly will. I certainly will if I'm dissatisfied. But I need you to understand that we need to communicate. The media is telling us how to perceive one another, and it's the furthest thing from the truth. And we allow it with the obscene silence. Talk to one another.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Minister Muhammad.
It's been an honor to be a part of these forums. I pray we'll be a part of the next one, but I offer this to everyone, and let me just close with this. I know I can always be fiery and strong, and I'm gonna remain that way with truth. To my sister here from Terrace Avenue, when we finish with the back to school with Reverend Benjamin, I'm bringing the brothers with me, as I have been in Campbell Park and elsewhere, and now in Uniondale. We'll be on Terrace Avenue, and we're going to talk to the residents door to door, and we will designate an area where we can train you how to police your own community. Let law enforcement do what they're supposed to do. As I said when we were here last month, I have family members that are in law enforcement. I have members of my community whom I minister over, who are members of high-ranking officials in law enforcement. We are pro-law enforcement, but we're pro-peace, people being treated right. It's not about you being in law enforcement, it's how you talk to the people, how you handle them. It's not about you being a politician. Stop being a politician thinking you're a leader. Try to be a leader who's about political business as a necessary tool. This is why I like Sheila Bynum, because I love her spirit, I love her action. Yes, she deserves a hand, she really does. Our legislator there deserves a hand. Not because she looked fine and pretty. She deserves a hand, a beautiful black woman. But she deserves a hand because of her beautiful work. I don't care if you were a white politician. I'll give you a hand. Because it's not about whether you're white, it's whether you're right. That's what Minister Farrakhan teaches us. So I'm saying to us, judges. Be those who represent light coming out of darkness, and not darkness to the people. Law enforcement officials, and I want to thank you, Sister Andrina, and the club, and everyone for this. But at the end of the day, yes, let's give them a hand. At the end of the day, At the end of the day, it's about how we treat the little man and woman on the bottom, for they are the big man and woman. And tomorrow they'll be the ones up on top. So don't look them over. Remember, the same people you meet on the way going down, on the way going up, is the same people you meet on the way going down. Let's be there for the people on the ground, because all of us got one foot on dry land and another foot on a banana peel. And if you ain't careful, you about to slip off that banana peel. We need unity, we need discipline, we need character, people we can trust, and we need love. A lot of our problems is because we don't love enough. We put our lives on the line. The brother that's in the room that's a martial artist, we are students of Sunukis Jiu-Jitsu. We take out 5 people at one time, but we're not out here to hurt no one. We learn martial arts as a discipline to prevent violence, not to be violent. So we got to learn that security is prevention, and secure our hearts, our minds, our souls. Men in the room, don't abuse women. Women, don't abuse men with your tongues. Parents, stop abusing your children, calling them little N-words and this and that. Telling them that they're wrong, tell them there's a better way to do it. And we can begin to heal in our communities if we would only just love each other a little bit more. So thank you for having us and for being present. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank you, panel, for spending your time here. Before you leave, guys, can I just have your attention for 30 seconds? We're going to be meeting again next month, the last Thursday of the month, in the smaller room. Please come back out. Leave your name, your address at the door so we can invite you out again. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.